Welcome back to episode number 69 of the Anonymous Investors Podcast. How are you doing? Now's your cue to speak. You wanted to speak during the introduction. Now you don't want to speak.
I did not speak during the introduction. No one heard what I had to say because it got cut. So you're wrong. You're completely wrong. It got cut. But no, so I was freestyling and this fucking guy ruined it, man. I had a good rap going. What it do, what it be? It's you fucker. Stop doing that. Stop fucking. If you whistle again, I'm gonna keep fucking muting you. You fuck. So I had a good rap and you ruined it. I said, what it do, what it be? It's stonk. I said something like, stonk man, back in black. I'm on the attack. You already know if you don't got no Schrodinger in your portfolio, that shit is whack. Yeah, that was pretty much it. It was like a failed attempt, but it was like pretty organic. I just randomly thought of that. But yo, I bought some Schrodinger again. I'm not gonna lie. I bought a a little bit. Bought a little bit of Schrodinger. Love it. Love that fucking company. I love them. I don't care. I'm buying that shit. Buying the dip like I'm packing a lip, baby. You already know what it is. And speaking of packing a lip, how about Target packing their fucking stores out with excess inventory? They got fucked, huh? Holy shit. That was another thing you ended up calling, and you fucking hit the nail on the head. You said all the big box retailers. You said Walmart. You said Target. You said fucking Best Buy. You said fucking Harold's Caviar. You said they're going to have too much inventory because of all the games that China's playing with this fucking lockdown bullshit. Oh, lockdown. We're going to lock down, on, off, like a fucking switch. So obviously, of course, the retailers, big box American retailers, couldn't accurately predict inventory. So what happens is they get stuck with a surplus, and now they got to sell it for fucking pennies on the dollar. So if there's any shit that you want from Target, now's a good time to get it. Any furniture, right? Bedding, maybe, any type of like big ticket item that usually, I mean, Target's like they're like a relatively inexpensive store. Like you can pretty much go in there and get whatever the fuck you want. It's like within reason. Same thing with Walmart. Walmart's known for obviously being incredible at buying products and then, obviously selling at incredible prices. But, if you're looking for an even bigger deal, I would say probably within the next month or two, now's the time to kind of go and look at these places. So you'll see a lot of shit on sale. But yeah, you were right, man. You fucking nailed it again. I don't know how you do it every time, but get it right every time.
Yeah, it's good to receive credit when it's due. I should be receiving credit like this on a daily basis. But yeah, Target obviously they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They mismanaged. They mismanaged their inventory level. They were above their target inventory level. They got stuff sitting on shelves for long periods of times, and now it's got to go on sale so that they could reach their target inventory level and bring it back down to normal levels instead of having money sitting around on the shelves and not meeting customer demand. Now, right? Everybody says like, oh, these discounts, they're gonna work. They're gonna be able to bring down their inventory level. We are going into a recession. You look at credit cards. Credit card and consumer debt is at all-time highs. These bozos, right? They don't want to cut back on their spending. They don't realize we're going into recession. They're putting everything on credit cards. And, they're going to have another thing coming when they're not able to meet this consumer debt when they get fired from their jobs in the upcoming months because these technology companies and a lot of other companies will be cutting back on their employees, when consumer demand wanes, and consumer demand will wane, and they won't be able to pay off their credit cards. We'll be going into these credit cards will this credit card debt and consumer debt will default, and we will see a recession inbound. And we have this bozo over here. He keeps buying stocks. He keeps saying, "Oh, we hit the bottom. We hit the bottom. Oh, we're down 15%. We hit the bottom." No. The bottom is not in. Right? You're at the kiddie pond, right? You're at the 4-foot section of the kiddie pond. I'm in the deep end. I'm waiting for the 10 feet to go down. You're at the little bottom of the kiddie pond.
I think market conditions will ultimately get worse, but I think there are some companies that you want equity in no matter what, just because of the long-term prospects. Yeah, sure, you'll get a better deal if you decide to sit on the sidelines, but at the same time, with the way the market's been trading in the last really month and a half, 2 months, it's been more of a sideways market than down. So it's going to be very interesting. But you're right, we will see more of a pullback. But that's kind of why you dollar cost average. You don't really, if I buy Schrodinger, or if I buy Apple or Tesla, I'm not gonna load in all at once and then just sit on it. No, I'll buy in incrementally over the course of the next couple months, or maybe next year and a half, because these recessions typically last a year and a half, 2 years. So, but that's just kind of what it comes down to. But Schrodinger, I am just like in love with that company in terms of like long-term prospects and long-term potential. That's more of like a 5 or 10 year type of bet. And it's just very simple. The current valuation is not reflective of what the future valuation of the company is going to be. So I know the upside is there, and I'm willing to buy it even at, I'm buying it below the IPO price, which is fantastic. But at the same time, it does have a long way to go down before I think it kind of bottoms out. I think it's trading in that sub $30 range. I think it could bottom out at like low 20s. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where that goes from
sub
here.
15, my friend.
You think sub 15?
Oh yes, everything has to drop under 50% in this market. This horizontal price action you talk about, right, will not be seeing that for a long period of time. Now you're trying to look at this technical analysis. We see a gap in the unlimited space interval, and we're drifting to a sideways.
Wait.
No.
You mean you don't subscribe to the technical analysis, the cock and ball handle formation that shows that there's going to be a bull run?
What about the ball and cock formation?
That's what I said. The cock and balls formation. Now, technical analysis is fucking retarded because all trading is done algorithmically. So technical analysis has no bearing. Now, if you wanted to say like technical analysis working in like the 80s or like potentially even into the early 90s, like, yeah, it could have worked, or it definitely could have worked in the past.
You know what technical analysis
it's not valid
is
anymore.
Technical analysis, right? It's just a fancy way of doing a pump and dump, right? You get everybody together, you make up some bullshit story. You say like, oh, the lamp formation, and everybody agrees with the lamp formation. This bullshit thing. Oh, we have a lamp formation on the perimeter. It's going to the corner, to the moon, to the Mars. Oh, on the left, on the right, the lamp is coming in on an axis. The X and the Y axis, they meet. They form this cock and ball formation with the lamp. And everybody believes and they buy this technical analysis. That's the only reason it goes up and the technical analysis works, is because it's this kind of Ponzi scheme, kind of pump and dump action.
I'm going to give you an analogy about technical analysis, and I think you're going to love it. Technical analysis in finance is like astrology, for like how chicks have astrology, like the finance bros, like we have technical analysis. That's what it is. That's our astrology. And if you're dumb enough to believe that, Mercury's in retrograde, that means that I'm going to be a cunt and punch some other bitch in the face. Like, that's how the women are. They go like nuts. And it's like, that's not like, okay, Mercury could be in retrograde, but that doesn't have to do with the fact that you were a bitch before that and no one cares.
Astrology, horology, all that nonsense. That's it's got no meaning. You should go see a fortune teller. If you believe that, you go see a fortune teller to tell you your future. They'll read the palms of your hands.
The palms of your hands. Oh,
you got a V-shaped motion in the palms of your hands. It means we got a double bottom in the stock market.
Yeah, the whole thing is so funny. But on that same topic of these fucking big box retailers, we just saw that Ryan fucking Cohen, the GOAT himself, King GameStop, king of Chewy.com, the Chewy.com man, right? He sold out of Bed Bath & Beyond, and his stock is down like 40% in the last like day or two. And it's very interesting to see that happen because a lot of people were so upset about that. He made $65 million. He cashed out, and that was it. He's done. He doesn't care. But there were a lot of people on Wall Street Bets, a lot of apes that lost a lot of fucking money. And I don't think they give a fuck because it's all kids mostly. It's all young kids that like don't have that much money saved up. So they're like, fuck it, I'm going to YOLO it. Like they got like 20 or 30K and they're like, I'm going to YOLO this shit. Either I'm going to be a millionaire or lose it and I don't really care. And it's just like gambling for them. Like they don't give a fuck. But shout out to all the apes out there. We fucking love Wall Street Bets. Wall Street Bets is like easily one of the funniest fucking subreddits ever. And the content on there has been so funny as of late. It always just makes me laugh because, some of the shit that people put up is just astronomically funny. But yeah, Ryan Cohen, I'm like kind of blown away that he got out. I mean, I thought he definitely would have stuck around for a little bit. He definitely is like a big activist investor, and especially after the whole GameStop thing, I would think that he would stick around. But you know, the GameStop. I mean, he really was kind of that reason, that initial catalyst for that GameStop movement, because the stock like doubled after that point. I think it was at like $5 a share. Then they announced Cohen, and it kind of made like a run up to 15 and settled for like a little while, but not too long, obviously, because this all happened in a span of like 3 months. Went from like fucking $5 a share to like 300 or like 350 or whatever the cap was, peak. But I think that Cohen was picked, or Cohen took an activist position at some point, and then after that, the stock went fucking hyperbolic. It basically went from like $5 a share to like 10 or 15, and then like people started to use Cohen as like the thesis to buy GameStop, and it just took off like a fucking rocket. So it was just so interesting to see that he sold out of Bed Bath and Beyond. But what do you think about that in terms of Cohen selling out of Bed Bath and Beyond, and like what do you think the implications are? Obviously beyond the short-term pullback of 40%. I think Bed Bath & Beyond is kind of dead in the water. I think they have declining revenue. I think they have a lot of debt that they've got to pay off, and I don't see any real way that they're able to pay it off or even take care of anything that's impending on their balance sheet in terms of just liabilities.
Well, yeah, Bed Bath and Beyond, it's up over 360% since June 31st. It's been pumped on Wall Street bets. All these people have been going crazy buying call options, leading to these gamma squeezes and upward price action movements. But yeah, if I was running Cohen, I would sell out of Bed Bath and Beyond too. The,
Yeah, he made like
business model is not
65
gonna
million or
last.
something, right?
Yeah, the business model is not going to last long term. He made $65 million. Why should he do the work and try and turn around, the discrepant real retailer when he basically received the reward without taking any of the risk? He already got his reward that he would have got if he turned around the retailer and made it successful. I'll take my reward and I'll work. The Wall Street bets, bozos and monkeys, they did all the work for me. And I don't even have to actually do the work to get to 65 million.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting character too. Like I was saying though, he was like an integral part of that GameStop movement and AMC movement, and people kind of rallied behind him. They really liked him. He obviously did like a phenomenal job with Chewy.com. Chewy.com's like blown the fuck up. I use Chewy.com to get stuff for the dogs, and it's good stuff. Like it's a good service, but he's definitely no Buffett, that's for sure. Like Buffett's such a long-term type of guy, buy and hold type of dude. And Cohen, it seems like he's more like in and out of shit, constantly moving, constantly on the board of new companies, pushing for new innovations, new initiatives. And he's definitely been like bumbling around more. But Buffett's so different, dude. Like Buffett actually kind of surprises me now, because it seems like he's playing more of that like arb role, like arbitrage, where he owns a position in Activision Blizzard, which is the company that makes, Activision makes Call of Duty and Blizzard makes World of Warcraft. But it's funny because he's playing that like merger arbitrage where, there's like 20% upside if that deal with Microsoft goes through. So the Microsoft deal is at 95 a share. And right now, I think Activision Blizzard trades in like the 80s. So there's about 20% upside there. But I'm surprised that Buffett's even playing that merger game, because if he's doing that and the market's not adjusting, that means that something. I mean, that just shows how crazy the markets are. Like for that stock to be down, for there to be a discrepancy of 20% between the buyout offer and current market value, I mean, that's kind of crazy, because it's really just like a risk-free bet. Like if Buffett's making that bet, that's got to tell you something's going on, and clearly he has a lot of confidence in that deal closing. So it'll be interesting to follow that and see what happens in the next couple of months.
Well, I mean, the deal could close, but the deal is probably valued in shares of Microsoft. So if you think the overall market,
no, it was a cash offer, 95 a share, cash offer, and it's trading at right now. And Buffett's playing the merger arb. Hang on.
I could see it being 80 if it was valued in shares of Microsoft, and you predicted that the market was going to drop, and then you value in discount that it doesn't actually go through and such. But
well,
if
year to
it's
date, the stock's up 19%, and on the 1 year chart, it's only down 2. So it's been trading pretty flat. It's trading at 80. It closed today at 80.27. And let me just double check that Microsoft deal. It is a 69 billion all cash deal. Yeah, this is it. Microsoft announced a 69 billion all cash deal for Activision Blizzard in January, and that's $95 a share. So that's pretty good. And when is this expected to like close? I mean, I know it's going to take a little while, right? But they announced this back in April. I mean, it's already September here. So what are these fucking clowns doing?
Yeah, but you could get a 15% return, and it's pretty much in this market when everything's going down. You get a 15% arbitrage return. That's good.
I think should I buy this? I'm thinking about this. This is a pretty good.
And I think this deal is pretty much guaranteed to close. There's not that much antitrust concern with this deal. It's a gaming.
Yeah, no, it's a video game. Yeah, it's not the
right. You have Sony and everything like that. Samsung, they're all it's not an antitrust concern.
The breakup fee is $3 billion for this deal, so I don't think they're gonna break it up. You could argue like anything from like DOJ or like SEC or whatever, but it's not like Microsoft's going to break it up. They have to spend $3 billion. Then I don't think they're going to do that. You know what I mean? It says the deal is expected to close before July of 2023. All right, so it's about a year out or whatever, but it's like a 20% return. Like that's pretty good. I might have to buy this. We'll have to see what happens. Either that or I'll just buy like. I got fucked with Tesla too, by the way. I went to buy more Tesla, and these fuckers, let me just say this very quickly, these fucking dickheads at the brokerage, when I sold out of one thing, it's T+2. So I got fucked. I literally missed the date, but the date before the split by like a day. So I ended up, obviously I didn't buy fucking Tesla, but I might wait until after the split. But it's going to rock up a little because of the fucking split. Because these retards are going to be like, Tesla's only $200, and they're going to fucking buy it. So I'm a little pissed about that. I missed it by a day. The cutoff was August 17th or something like that. And,
don't worry about that. Tesla will go down.
Posted on the 18th, so
it will go down up below 800 again. With the overall market going down, you're gonna get Tesla.
I'm gonna get a good deal. I know, but it's just I wanted to add to that position. I'm a little fucking pissed because that's like the 5th largest position in my portfolio, and I think it really should be a little bit further up there. So it's just a fucking pain in the ass.
Activision, right? There's also concerns. I don't know if you heard about this, about them interfering with labor unions and such, and there's a chance that they might.
Yeah, people were trying to unionize, right?
Yeah, and they were like illegally spying on them. So like this discount might be because they might get fined a couple $1 billion, and they might have to discount Activision because they're gonna lose that cash. I don't know how much they could get fined from this. The UWA, I don't know how much they would fine for these practices.
Yeah, they're trying to stop people from unionizing, and one of the big push. So first of all, Blizzard is like they made World of Warcraft. They're like pretty well known and like well respected as a company in like the gaming community and the PC community. But the thing is that they actually are like notorious for having like pretty bad culture. They were sued by a bunch of I believe it was like a few dozen former women employees who said that they faced like discrimination because they said the culture is more of like a bro type of culture or whatever. And apparently they got some payout or whatever because Activision Blizzard was like, okay, and then they just settled. So there are like major concerns with the company's culture and like kind of what goes on there. And now they've kind of become very like greedy and like they're big on like microtransactions and shit like that now, which is kind of lame because that kind of like killed a lot of the gaming industry for people. And I know for me, like as someone that used to play games a lot, I don't play anymore really, but as someone that used to play, like microtransactions just killed everything because it's literally just pay to win for like any online game. Like other than like some games, like certain games, like where I don't mind microtransactions if it's for like cosmetic items in the game, but then once you get into microtransactions where it's like you pay and then you get like the best gun in the game and it's like pay $30 and then you just fast track your way to getting it, it's like that's fucking lame. Or like you get like new equipment or tools and it's just like to win. I always thought that was like really fucking lame. Cause then you know, there's like no grinding aspect of the game. There's no like actual challenge to the game. It's like you just pay the $30, whatever, get the best gun, get the best shit, and then you're like, well, what do I do now? And it's just boring. But yeah, no. What else was going on with Buffett? Because I know that you mentioned that you want to talk about him, and I felt like, hey, let me just bring him up.
Yeah, so like one of his biggest positions, I think it might be his second or third biggest position after Apple and something else, Occidental Petroleum. So he just did a filing, uh, and he's been approved to buy up to 50% of Occidental Petroleum because you have to do certain regulatory filings if you want to buy half of a company without submitting a formal tender offer. So he basically just submitted his filing, and he's allowed to buy up to 50% of Occidental Petroleum. And this says a lot about his thoughts on the current market because oil is often seen as a hedge uh, in a recessionary environment, and he's been going very, very heavy on oil and energy lately to basically hedge out his large Apple position. So this is going to be interesting to see if he submits a buyout offer for Occidental Petroleum. I know in the past I think he's bought Chesapeake in the past and a couple of other energy
Yep, that's
companies. So
true. He's got Chevron too. I'm looking at his portfolio right now. He's got Suncor Energy, Chevron. Chevron was a fucking big one. I love Chevron. Here's a little fucking fun story for everyone. During the pandemic, we actually saw a week, if you remember this. This was back in April 2020, where oil went negative. And, we all talk and we have our own little group chat. And God, you were in there. And I remember I was like, bro, oil went fucking negative. Like, we got to figure out some shit. And we were trying to figure out how to get physical barrels because they were paying you like $20 or $30 to like take these barrels in. And we're like, bro, oil's gonna pop off. I know it's gonna pop off, right? And we were like, fuck, like what could we do? And like the regulation to get like the physical barrels is so crazy. Like you have to jump through like 5 or 6 different fucking hoops to be able to do it. You got to have like connections to people. It's this whole big fucking mess. But basically, it's like tightly regulated by the EPA. So it's not like you can just like order a barrel like you order whatever fucking thing off of eBay or Amazon, right? So then we were like, okay, well that's insane. Like we looked into like, you know, we were like, well, I guess we could do like warehousing or something. It was like a nightmare, but the cost was just so immense. So we were like, fuck this. So I was just like, bro, let's just play like, let's play the strongest balance sheet in the sector of like in that like oil sector. That's like an American traded, company, American traded like public company. So I decided on Chevron, and I know that some other people bought Exxon and a couple others, and ConocoPhillips, but Chevron fucking went nuts. I bought Chevron at like 50 something a share, and I ended up dumping it somewhere in that like 90 range, which was nuts because I basically almost doubled my money in like a month or two, or like 3 months. And I know that you did pretty good with Exxon too, right? Like you did pretty well with that.
oh yeah, I did great on Exxon. Pretty much, Exxon it didn't do as good as Chevron, I don't think, but it did. I think it returned like
I
85,
I
90.
just played I just played like how I look at shit like that is that's kind of like Black Swan, right? Like that's that guy Nicholas Taleb. He talks about that in his book where like you see certain like inefficiencies in the market in the short term and you're able to take advantage of them because you have some cash on the sidelines or like a little bit of cash or you have some money and other things that you could kind of sell off and move into that. And no, it's just interesting because you definitely there are like market inefficiencies that we see on like a somewhat regular basis that you could definitely take advantage of. And it's very interesting to kind of talk about shit like that and to see things like that. And this is something I wanted to discuss later on, but I think I'm going to mention it now. Speaking of like market inefficiencies and things you could potentially take advantage of. So there's been this thing going around, and I know it's kind of been hyped up by the media, and I don't really know what to make of it, if it's going to be a big crisis or not. I don't think it will be, but monkeypox has been fucking going around. So there's actually this company, and it's called Bavarian Nordic, and it's based out of Denmark. And right now, it is the only company on the planet that is approved to make the monkeypox vaccine. So this is interesting because the World Health Organization declared monkeypox a crisis, and right now there are 14,000 confirmed cases in the United States and about 40,000 worldwide. So if this company is the only company approved to make these vaccines, even if they fast track it, right? If you remember under Trump, there was that Operation Warp Speed that was done during COVID to rush out those vaccines, and that was with Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson and Johnson. So even if something like an Operation Warp Speed comes out and they do that with monkeypox, because let's say it does get worse, or some people do end up getting getting this or whatever. This is a company where they basically have a year of like a monopoly, because it's going to take them at least a year for these other companies to make the vaccines for monkeypox, I'd imagine, right? Basically, very similar to the time period it took for them to develop the COVID vaccines. So if you look at this company, you could actually buy shares in this company in the form of like an ADR, which is an American depository receipt. So it's basically a way that allows retail investors and people who invest in public markets to buy equity in foreign companies. So it'll be very interesting to kind of see what happens with this. But this is something worth keeping an eye on, because this thing could really go nuclear if the government decides that they're going to have a knee-jerk overreaction and buy like millions of fucking vials of this vaccine. And even if people don't take it, it doesn't really matter if the government is stupid enough to buy like a billion fucking vials or however many vials. Like, they're still going to make all this money in revenue. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of transpires. But I don't think that the monkeypox thing, like that ailment, is going to be as severe or like as blown up as COVID. But I could totally see a situation where the government just overspends on vials of this shit and no one ends up taking them, and they don't really do anything with them.
Yeah, I don't think monkeypox is going to be bad as bad as the previous pandemic. It seems to be isolated to people who do certain activities with the opposite gender, and it doesn't seem to be spread through.
You mean with the same?
Oh yeah, the same gender. It doesn't seem to spread rapidly through organic means.
Yeah, but I still like that idea of potentially investing in something where it's like, the only bridge in town, like as Buffett calls it. There's like already a moat there. So Buffett described like his perfect investment as like you basically own the only bridge in town, and you charge whatever toll you want and people have to pay it. And I could totally see like that working in this company's favor. So it definitely is something worth looking into, potentially further. So it really is just going to kind of come down to what the government decides to do. I don't think it's going to come down to what the public wants to do or whatever the case may be in that sense. But it's really just going to come down to, will the government overreact and order a shitload of these fucking things? And right now, the demand for these monkeypox vaccines is so great that this company obviously can't keep up with demand. So now they're partnering with, I was just reading in the Wall Street Journal, they're partnering
Who's
with,
taking these shots?
I don't know. But here's the
I
thing:
don't see it at Walgreens
they can't keep up with
or
the.
CVS.
They
Where are these
they
shots
can't.
being given?
I don't know, but it's like a government set up like testing sites and vaccination sites. But I'll say this: they can't keep up with the demand for them, and they're actually partnering with manufacturing plants in the United States to be able to pump them out. So that's kind of where we're at now, which to me, after reading that, means like, okay, now this is big, because now it shows that there is demand for this fucking vaccine, which means that this company is going to make a fucking shitload of money. And the valuation is very high right now. It's up about like 40% in the last month. So the valuation is fucking absurd. But the thing is that it could very well go up even more. Like this is, it's really just going to come down to how does the government react to this? Not even the taxpayers, not any of the constituents. It's literally going to be like, what does the government, like, how do they react to this? And then not to get like too conspiratorial, but like there's also that aspect of like the government or certain officials within government. They'll probably get money on the back end with stuff like this. But you know what? I'll get into that a little bit. So like if Pfizer, you know, if there's like a bill that's passed and they're gonna make 10 million vaccines of whatever, and they're gonna approve Pfizer to be the manufacturer, Pfizer might kick back like 100, you know, they might kick back like 10 million or 5 million or whatever to some of the big people who were like making this active push for this bill to be signed and passed. So, not to call out Nancy Pelosi, of course, because I don't think she would ever do such a thing. But that's it, one example. Or, you know, Mitch McConnell or Mitt Romney or one of these other clowns, you know, like a lot of these politicians, they get money on the back end from these corporations for helping to push changes in legislation.
Yeah. So what is this company called again? Bavarian what?
Bavarian Nordic. Yeah, that's the name of it. It's pretty interesting.
This should be something interesting to look into. But and you know, keep your eyes on whether or not monkeypox becomes more prevalent and spreads. It's the one. It's $361.30 a share. BAVA.
Yeah, so they have a few different ADRs. It's like BAVA, and then I think they have another one that I saw. Let me see if I can find this shit. Hold up. The other one I see is BVNRY. Hang on, sorry about that. My dad's walking the dog. The other one I see, the other ticker I see that's trading over the counter, and that says the ADR is BVNRY.
Packagers come in. These third-party firms come in to fill to make these shots to fill up the demand. But I worry about whether or not this is priced in already. You said it went up like 44%. So maybe I'll get into something like this if there's some sort of pullback.
Yeah, so the one ADR that I looked at before, that's $16.31 and $16.31 in US dollars, BVNRY. It's up 16% in the last month. And then now let me see BAVA. That's $48. That's a Danish krone. So it's under $50 a share right now for the main ADR. And that's here's the thing, it's up 132.5% in the last 6 months. So that's pretty fucking insane. But the last month is 18%. And then the last 5 days, it's up about 9%. So, I mean, I think there's something here. I mean, this is something worth looking into. Like I said, they're the only game in town. And it's like the perfect mode / like Monopoly. There are going to be competitors. It's just that they're the first to market, and they're probably a year out from having to deal with any competitors. So if this thing really becomes big, then we got to do some homework with this. We got to look into this.
Yeah, but it could be like another Moderna. Moderna shot up to like $500-600 now.
Yeah, Moderna went fucking nuts, dude. Moderna went fucking. This is what I mean, though. This is why you got to look at shit like this, because it does not matter like what we think is going to happen. Like, let's think about Moderna, right? In the case of Moderna, like, I'm going to pull up their stock right now. So Moderna has a valuation right now of 57 billion, which is pretty insane. But like at one point, you're talking about from June of 2020. Actually, let's go back. Let's go to February of 2020, trading at 19 a share. And then all of a sudden, we take a fucking rocket up, and in September of 2021, it's trading at $450 a share. Like, that is insane. Moderna went fucking nuclear. You would have made 5 times your money in that span, 6 times your money in that span. Like, that's incredible. And you know, Moderna was like, they were like a nothing company for a while. I mean, it's not that they were a nothing company. It's just like they weren't you know, ascribed a ridiculous valuation. But yeah, this could be a Moderna. Like, Moderna they were the first to market with the COVID vaccine, pretty much, right? Like, they kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, they were definitely the first, but you know, there was a couple others that came after them. Pfizer,
Pfizer, and then Johnson, right? And then
So
there was another
I don't know.
company,
You have to.
Oxygen or some shit, right? OCGN.
Yeah,
but
so I'm gonna
I've
have to do some
never.
research to see whether there are any other companies, nearing the end of their clinical trials. Find out
Yeah,
the true competition, and the market size isn't as big as the previous vaccine. I don't think it's going
right.
to be nearly as. So you have to look at any if there's any other potential competitors coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I can't see this being like a COVID 2.0, but the fact that the World Health Organization's immediately ringing the fucking bell on this shit kind of tells me like, oh, this could really be like a big thing. They had sort of this alarmist policy with COVID, and for them to go ahead and kind of have that same approach with this, to me, is like a little bit of a silver lining, especially for the stock, because even though I don't think it will be as bad as COVID or a situation like that, if the government overreacts enough to start regularly ordering vials, the company's revenue is going to go fucking bonkers. And that's just what it is. And it doesn't even have to necessarily pertain to the US. If a lot of these European countries freak out and they start this shit in droves, like that's what's going to happen. It's almost going to like ride the coattails of COVID because people saw how bad COVID was, in terms of, you know, not even in terms of like how deadly it was or anything like that, but how, the medical infrastructure wasn't prepared for people to go on ventilators and have to deal with this fucking, all the hospitalizations, especially early on for older people or people that were like immunocompromised. So I think that if there is going to be an overreaction to something again, it'll be something like this that's immediately following COVID, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But I don't think people, if the people aren't inclined to put up with what previously happened, and then there's more pushback. It's always hard to meet the initial demand. We saw that with Bed Bath and Beyond, AMC. The first one always has uh, more of an upward trajectory than the following AMC and Bed Bath and Beyond. But that's not to say that you still can't make money on the other two, but you're not going to make as much. But yeah, this is something to add to your watch list on whatever investment platform you use, and take a good look at it. And if there's any sort of substantial pullback, maybe you throw a couple dollars in there. And it's important to diversify. Don't put all your money. I'm not saying don't put all your money in Bavarian, but you got to diversify. You got to buy index funds, ETFs, and such. But you could afford to throw a couple dollars into the stock and see what happens.
For sure, man. For sure. Calculated bets all the way, man. I'm all for it. Here's another thing I thought that was pretty interesting and kind of very scary in a way. So younger people are taking up an increasing share of U.S. unemployment insurance, and this is a crazy statistic for you. People who are under the age of 35 account for 31% of unemployment. That is crazy. That is absolutely fucking nuts. And that is more than any time in the last 15 years. So more people, more younger people are unemployed. Do you think that has to do with people not wanting to work? Do you think that has to do with the economy slowing down? What do you think the factors are with that at play?
Oh, I can see that clearly with the people that come out of school. They're not getting jobs. They're getting jobs in disciplines and fields that they originally didn't go to school for. And I think people were given free money during this period of time. They're not motivated to work. People think socialism and communism is the answer, and really not the answer. And we've seen that in the past couple of years come to fruition that it's not the answer. And people have gotten lazy. They want to be the victim. They follow this victim mentality. They say, "Oh, poor me, poor me, poor me." Yeah, poor you. Go fuck yourself, bozo. You're not the victim. And people just need to go out there. They need to go to work, and the government needs to stop supporting these idiots. If these idiots don't want to work, that's it. This is a dog eat dog world. We should be like Brazil. We should be like these other countries. The people should just die on the streets. People like to say like, "Oh, this is America. People can't die on the streets." And then this is America. No, they should die. You don't want to work, you should die on the streets. That's how it should go. And we have to clean up this homeless problem. This problem when people don't want to work. They're unmotivated to work. These people should be forced to work, and you shouldn't be getting governmental subsidies, food stamps, and all these other things without having to do something. If even if you have to do, even if you have to walk around the park, right, and a person has to throw garbage on the ground for you to pick up. You have one person throw the garbage on the ground and the other person pick it up, and you do it on purpose. You just keep polluting so that these people can pick it up. You have to, create these jobs for these people. You cannot be incentivizing people to get paid for nothing. And if you cut out these programs and you start creating these jobs for people to do, I think you're going to see a lot more people get back to work, because people are not going to want to pick up garbage that's on the floor. Cannot be walking around doing drugs, doing LSD, and doing all these narcotics, right? Saying, ooh, when I did the acid, right? I had a vision, and I really changed my life, and it showed me my true purpose. The acid, it went into my skull and my brain, and it changed my mind. I had a vision. The vision, the acid, it was going around the cerebrum. No, that's total bullshit. Get off the drugs. Get off the weed. Get off the narcotics, right? The A1 narcotics. Get to work. And
you can't live out of your car
find a
either.
job.
You can't live out of your car and just like travel around the country. You got to get a job. You got to go to work. Can't be fucking around.
No, I mean, no, you could live in your car if you have a job. You want to save money. You don't want to be a renter, and you want to live in your car so you can save more money and progress and buy a house. Now that's understandable. You can't live in your car and not do anything and not work, and because you have a vision, and you're trying to find your purpose and everything like that. Because
No,
that's
they
not the
don't.
reality of the
Those
world.
people, they don't look for their purpose. They're my passion. People like that are looking for their fucking passion. He or she,
Yeah, that reminds me. We have a video on this channel, Passion versus Purpose. You should check that out. And you should never use the words passion. That should be expelled from the English language. I think in China, actually, they don't have a word passion. They just expelled it. They said, we don't talk about passion yet. We talk about doing. We talk about purpose. But yeah,
right.
this is a
Purpose
total
is
disgrace.
what
What's
it's
going
about.
on in the world? Total disgrace. These people, if you're not a productive member of society, they should have an island, and you should they should do what they did in Rome. I think they should do what they did in Rome, and you should be entertainment for the people that are productive. They should watch the people fight, and it should be like the gladiators. And one member that's unproductive, and if he comes out of it, he'll learn how to be productive because he survived and he fought and he was able to survive the gladiator attack. So that's what we should do. Round up all the unproductives, put them on an island, do like a Hunger Games gladiator type, and
Pay-per-view. You got to do pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view, $49.99. I would pay it. Sponsor.
Let's put Nancy Pelosi. Yeah. Let's put Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell, and Mitt Romney on there too, and we'll put Liz Cheney there as well, and Dick Cheney, and George Bush, and Obama, and Jeb Bush. That sounds like a win to me. All right, so I know that you're a big game guy, big gamer, right? So I got a game for you, okay? Let me know if you're interested in playing this. So here's an article that I found online, and I want to go through this, and I could sit here and read the article, and that'll be boring and not really entertaining. So the article is pertaining to how much Americans have saved in their accounts, not invested, but saved in their accounts at every age, okay? So it breaks it down into 4 demographics. We've got people under the age of 35, we got people from 35 to 44, 45 to 54, and 55 to 64, right? So I want you to take a guess what the average is saved for those 4 different groups. So under the age of 35, how much do you think the average American has saved?
Under 35? So now we have to take into account like student loan debt and everything?
Yeah, and it's an average. It's an average. So it's skewed by the highest earners and the lowest people.
Under 35 in savings, I'm going to say 5,000.
All right. So your estimate was a little conservative. It's actually 11,200, but the median is 3,200. Okay. 35 to 44. What do you think that is? Average and median. What do you think that is?
25,019.
All right, so the average is actually $27,900, and the median is $4,700. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
That's horrific. That's the median. So remember the median, people. That's really important. The difference between median and average. Average is always skewed by the highest earners. If there are two people and you're taking an average and one guy earns $1 million and the other guy earns $0, the average is $500,000, right? But the median is what's more important. Actually, that's a bad example. Let's use three people. Let's say one guy makes $1 million and then you have two bozos that make $0 a year. The median would be a lot closer to zero because it would factor in the guy that's worth $1 million, but it's a weighted median. So you'd say, oh, $0 is there twice. So the median would be, in that zero range or much fucking closer to zero. Whereas the average would be 300,000 or whatever. So, anyway, from 45 to 54, what do you think the average and median is? So 45 to 54, this is like peak career. This is pretty much like you've kind of peaked in your job, you've peaked in your career, you're very well established, maybe you have a family at this point, and things are kind of squared away. You're probably not going to get promoted after this time.
100,000 and 8,000.
All right, so you're much closer on the median. You're starting to figure this out. So the average is $48,200, and the median is $56,000. Excuse me, $5,600. Or what's it? 56,000. I'm getting a little carried away there. So it's 45 to 54. The average is $48,200, and the median is $5,600. Now the last demographic, 55 to 64. So this is up until retirement age. This is you've hopefully built a nice little nest egg at this point. You're gearing down. You're getting ready to ride off into the sunset. What do you think the average and median is for the age range of 55 to 64?
100,000 and 7,500.
Okay, so in this one, it's $57,000 and $6,400. So the 57,000 is the average, and the median is $6,400. How sad is that? That's at 55 to 64. The median is $6,400.
Not even six figures.
Yeah, it's very pathetic.
I thought it would at least be six figures. I mean, people dream of being millionaires. They can't even reach six figures, let alone 7.
They could barely hit 5, bro. The median wasn't 10 grand. How are you going to be a millionaire? You can't even get 10 grand saved up. Come on.
I think I hit 5 at about 11 years old.
Probably, yeah. But we're different though. We got started pretty young, and we're like diligent savers, and we like investing, and we're both kind of like minimalists too. Like I would definitely say I'm a minimalist, like 100%. I do like a lot of the technology, but in terms of like anything else, like appliances, furniture, like TVs, and all this other bullshit, like I don't really fuck with any of it, Like even my phone, I went out and I bought I spoke about it before, but I bought an iPhone. I have, new iPhone, but I bought a 3rd gen SE, which is basically just an iPhone 8 with like A15 Bionic processor and some of the upgraded specs from like the iPhone 13. So they basically took the iPhone 13 components, like the best parts of it, and they put it in a phone that has an iPhone 8 body. And to me, the iPhone 8 is like the peak iPhone because it's like it's got the home button, it's got all the bells and whistles, and it's just like it's like having a Ferrari and like a Honda body. That's how I describe it to people. And you know what? It was a good deal because it's half the price of the fucking 13, and the 13 has all this bullshit I don't want. I don't need like 5 fucking cameras on the back end. I don't need Face ID. I don't need fucking any of this other weird shit that goes on with these phones, I like something nice and minimal, and that's it. And I use my phone like maybe an hour or 2 every day, just to kind of keep in contact with people, to talk, pay some bills, check my portfolio, and occasionally read emails. And that's pretty much it. I don't really use it for anything else. I don't have games on there. So I would say I'm definitely more of like a minimalist. And I think that you're kind of the same way. And I think that we both have that approach to investing. And that's what kind of has made us successful. And that's what works for us.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be a minimalist. You shouldn't be buying new cars. If you're not a millionaire, you don't buy a new car. That means you're a moron if you buy a new car if you're not a millionaire. You shouldn't be spending all your money on assets that depreciate. shouldn't have consumer debt. Consumer debt is one of the major downfalls in today's society, and you should be spending money on real estate. Real estate's a good way to start off because of the leverage that you can attain and achieve. You could put 5% down, and if you're in the army or you got a you can get a VA loan, you could put 0% down, and they'll cover the down payment for you. So that's a huge asset where you know for $5,000 you can have control of $100,000 asset and then rent it out and get the appreciation and the cash flow from the asset. So I think you should start off by investing in real estate because of the leverage, and then as you grow your nest egg and you keep churning properties and 1039 exchanging into different properties, then you should be getting into stocks, and you should be worried about growing the nest egg, not necessarily worried about the cash flow at a young age. And then maybe when you turn about 55, 56, 57, and then be worrying about the cash flow and the money that comes off of it. But when you're young and such, you should be worried about growing the nest egg and then worried about the cash flow that comes from it later on.
Yeah, real estate's one of the best wealth builders ever. So real estate, there's really four ways of making money. Appreciation, which is really kind of the cherry on top, right? Like, you could have, the good thing is with real estate, there's actually forced appreciation. Like you could buy a distressed property, fix it up, put a new roof in, new kitchen, new bathrooms, new tiling, like whatever. You could do all that. So that's in the form of appreciation. So that's like that first leg. The second leg is cash flow, which is what you mentioned. And cash flow is terrific. Getting paid almost every month by your tenants, getting paid by whoever your tenants are, whether it's a commercial entity or residential tenant, whoever it may be. Getting that cash on the first is great. The next thing is like the equity build up, which is in the form of like a loan pay down, a mortgage. Like every month you're paying X amount of money towards that mortgage, and that's like you're essentially just building equity in the property, which is good because then you could borrow against it at some point to be able to buy other things, or you're basically just buying like pieces of the house in terms of equity, like every month when you pay your mortgage. And then the last thing is obviously the tax savings, which is tremendous because, like I said, if you own an LLC or any type of pass-through entity, or if you're a sole prop, you actually end up coming out ahead because you've got mortgage interest write-offs, you got property tax write-offs, you got depreciation write-offs, you have capex write-offs. Like with all the different write-offs you get, especially with depreciation, it's very, very, very common that you actually show a loss on your real estate holdings, and then the income that you'll accrue from renting out, whether it's duplex, triplex, whatever, the income you're going to accrue from renting out some of those units that you have in the single family property or even multifamily property is going to be substantially less than all the different write-offs you get. So then you'll get that income and you won't pay any taxes on it, which is amazing. And then, like you said, if you live there, the thing is, it's if it's a primary residence and you live there for 2 of the last 5 years, let's say you're married, you get $500,000 that you're able to exempt in capital gains on the property. So you could actually, let's say you buy a house for $1 million 3 years ago, you lived there for the last 2 years, now it's worth 1.5. If you're married, now you sell the house at 1.5, let's say it's fully paid off, and now you can roll that into a new deal, or you could roll that into a bigger property. And that's how you really make money with real estate, is in the form of leverage and using the bank's money. But real estate's fucking awesome. Easily one of the best ways to build wealth. And they're not making any more real estate. Terraforming isn't a thing yet. That's not really anything we have to worry about. It's something that could potentially happen at some point in our lifetime, but it's going to be tough to get to that point, at least right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Real estate, it's been and has been one of the best ways to you know become wealthy. If you look at the poorest Americans, I guarantee you those are all renters. Those people that were at the 4, 5, 6, 7,000, those people don't own a home. They're living in an economy of rent, and they're perpetual renters. If you want to
Yeah,
be a perpetual renter,
sorry, go ahead.
if you want to be a perpetual renter your whole life, then so be it. You'll be a brokey and you'll be poor.
See, renting actually, I guess in some capacity it does make sense because, like if your payment every month is somehow like $500 a month, maybe you live with friends or whatever the case may be, that's actually not bad. But a better move is to just buy a property with like a similar comp. So let's say it's like 3 grand a month, or let's say for the sake of simple math, let's say you get like let's say you get a 4 bedroom house and the mortgage is $2,000 a month. Um, but actually, let me lay this out a little bit better. Let's say you get a 4 bedroom house and the rent is $2,000 a month, which would be out of pocket $500, assuming you split that with 3 other people, right? But the main thing is like, here's how you got to look at it. You're like, okay, $500 a month. Like, what property am I going to buy for $500 a month? Probably nothing crazy, right? But the thing is that you could get a property where the mortgage is $2,000 a month, and you could charge people that amount in rent, like a comp. You could say 500 each or whatever, and then you're only out of pocket that 500. So now for $6,000 a year, you actually own like an income producing asset. And then obviously you have down payment and stuff like that. But for that $6,000 a year, you have a place to stay, and you're getting paid, $1,500 a month in income, which is essentially going to be tax free after all the write offs and different tax advantages you're allowed to take in owning that real estate. So you're actually far better off. But it's a lot to save up a down payment and to be able to make a move like that. But no, real estate is like easily one of the best investments. It definitely has. I think everyone should try to own real estate. It should be in everyone's portfolio. The tax breaks alone is where you come out ahead, because a lot of times you can get some of these tax breaks with equities, but it's a lot more convoluted and it's a lot more involved, and most people don't have technical know-how or like the clearance to be able to do some of these tax strategies and take advantage of them.
I mean, I know if if you're a rich individual, high net worth individual, you could basically formulate in an ETF, and they have like a like kind exchange when you run ETF, and this was basically lobbied by Vanguard and Fidelity, so that they can like rebalance their portfolio. But like some of these high net worth individuals, they formulate these ETFs to take advantage of it, and they could exchange in and out of stocks without paying taxes. So, but you got to be a high net worth individual to do that. So you're better off, focusing on real estate, because those opportunities aren't given to you, given to the everyday man.
I totally agree. And on that note, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. It's been another week. It's been another great one. We'll see you guys in the next one. God, do you have any words of wisdom? Close it out.
Yeah. Don't be a brokey. Invest your money. Don't be a brokey. Don't live in your car. Don't worry about passion. Right. Get to work.
I totally agree. Purpose over passion all day, every day, baby. I'm with it.